calendar says it's only May 8th, but this could be a critical point for the Tribe in 2015. The Indians have struggled in series openers, dropping 8 of 9. They've got a chance to start reversing that trend tonight. It's also time to start establishing themselves at home, where they've dropped 8 of 12 to begin the season. Basically, it's time to step up for the Tribe. And Trevor Bauer has a chance to be the tone setter next on Sports Time Ohio. A summer-like day in downtown Cleveland. Temperatures soaring into the mid-80s this afternoon. Tribe back home to open up a 6-game homestand. Tonight it's the first of 3 against the Minnesota Twins. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. There are a number of things to look at with regards to where the Indians are at right now and why they're in this position. You can't point at just the starting pitchers. You can't point at just the bullpen. It's not just the defense. It's not just the hitters. There's plenty of blame to go around. But, Rick, the one thing I'm looking at, they're playing from behind a lot this year. They've lost 14 out of 17 games when the opposition scores first, and they've given up 7 first-inning home runs already this year. They gave up 10 all of last season.
Well, when you look when they take the lead early, they do a much better job of winning ball games. Another thing, getting off to a good start. The first game of a series, they haven't done that. They've only won 1 all year long. They've only won back-to-back games once all year long, 1 and 8 in those departments, and you have to go out and win series. And the unfortunate thing here is they're not playing very well at home. They were supposed to be good pitching and pretty decent defense. It was going to pick up this year, which it has been, but the offense hasn't scored. The bullpen's let down, and as a team, they're just not playing well enough to win ball games. But they got to find a way to do that right now, because it's getting late here, because the teams in the Central Division are playing some very solid baseball.
Well, like the Minnesota Twins, who come in here tonight. The Twins, you go back to the preseason publications, and they were a complete afterthought. And here are the Minnesota Twins right in the thick of the American League Central Division. And yes, it's early. It's only May the 8th. But they've won 7 of their last 8. Why? Scoring 7 runs a ball game, and they're only allowing less than 3 runs a ball game just in their last 8.
Well, they've played very well as a team. They've played most of their games at home. 17 games have come at home, and they're playing very well there. And on the road, they're averaging less than 3 runs, where they're going to be at tonight. So hopefully the Indians are going to be able to turn that around. But the Twins got off to a slow start. They've turned it around in their last 13 games. We'll see if that's going to continue. But the Indians have to do something. The Twins won 2 out of 3 in Minnesota. The Indians have to come back and at least win 2 out of 3 here to get this homestand started.
It's like it all comes down to confidence. Right now, Minnesota, they're playing with a lot of confidence. The Indians, they're still searching for theirs. When we come back, why can't the Indians win a series opener? They've lost 8 of 9 on the year. We'll check in with Andre Knott when we return. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by WB Mason, the official office supplier of the Cleveland Indians. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by the injury lawyers at Elk & Elk, proud sponsors of the Cleveland Indians. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio. Uptown Funk gonna bring it to you. Don't will be chucking it for Cleveland. It'll be Mike Pelfrey going for Minnesota. Let's go down to Andre Knott. We mentioned it as we went to break there. Andre, the Indians have lost 8 of 9 series openers. Is it just coincidence? Have you dug anything up? What's the deal here?
You know, you'd like to think it's coincidence, but I think it has become a mental block a little bit for some of these guys. As I talked to them about it, they didn't want to talk about it. But then some players start admitting that it's a pressure-packed thing, much like the starting lineup and like at the top of the order. A couple guys told me, look, it makes the series a lot easier when you win game one. You want to win series. That's what this is all about. And when you don't win on the opening night of the series, the pressure gets ratcheted up a little bit to try to win the series. They understand this, and as I think Rick brought this up as well in the open, they know they've got to play better here at Progressive Field as well, but they know that they've got to get out to a big lead or an early lead to help the starting pitcher out, but also take the pressure off of every other guy that's struggling in the lineup. They feel like it's time. The weather has changed. They're back at home for a little while. It's time to play Indians baseball the way that they thought they were going to play when they left for spring training.
You know, I feel if they fall behind early, they put too much pressure on themselves. They have to relax, but still believe in it. Believe in the process. They're going to go ahead, just play your kind of baseball, and don't worry about it. Prove that you want to win. That's all you can ask.
Trevor Bauer and the Tribe takes the field. Our window system's game time temperature 82 spectacular degrees, not a whisper of a breeze here in downtown Cleveland. It's going to be absolutely perfect here this evening. For Paul Molitor and the Minnesota Twins, let's take a look at their starting lineup tonight. Brian Dozier leading it off. It's brought to you by Toyota. Torrey Hunter in the 2 spot. Then it's Joe Mauer, followed by Trevor Plouffe, Kurt Suzuki, Kenny Vargas, the DH. Eddie Rosario, he's a young player. Only a few at-bats, only 7 ABs, but he's exciting already for Minnesota. Jordan Schaefer hitting 8th. Danny Santana bats 9th.
Here's tonight, Northern Ohio Honda starting pitcher will be Trevor Bauer for the Tribe, making his 6th start this year. He did not receive a decision in his last start. He allowed a season high and also a career high 6 earned runs in that ball game. He gave up the grand slam to Travis, if you remember. It was a really weird inning that shouldn't have happened, but it certainly did. So the Indians came back to win it. They scored some runs, but he had a no decision. He's facing Minnesota for the very first time this year and looking for his very first win against them. He's made 4 starts against them last year. He went 0-2 in a .547, although he did not allow a lot of hits in any start against the Twins. Let's check out the defense, which is brought to you by Chrysler. It'll be Brantley in left, Bourne is in center, Moss over in right, Chisenhall at third, Ramirez at short, Kipnis is at second, Santana at first, Brett Hayes doing the catching.
Jim Wolf will call the balls and strikes tonight. Doug Eddings at first, Adrian Johnson at second, Bill Miller, their crew chief, will be at third base. Just about ready to go here. Game number 28 on the year for the Indians. They begin the evening with a mark of just 10-17. That's dead last in the AL Central. 7.5 games out of first. Already 5 games behind this surprising Minnesota Twins bunch that comes in 16 up, 13 down, and only 2.5 games back of front-running Kansas City.
Coming off a very good homestand,
boy,
where they were 8-3. But they played the bulk of their games, the most games at home of anybody in the league.
First ball swinging. Brian Dozier sends a sky-high pop left field. Brantley in. And he'll make the catch, 1 away. Here are the keys to the game, brought to you by Wayside Furniture. For Trevor Bauer, fastball command. And offensively, up and down the lineup, looking for that productivity. When the Indians have been at their most successful, it's when they've had contributions from multiple people in the lineup. Of course, I suppose you could say that about any team.
Yeah,
you
that's
get contributions from everybody, you're going to have a good day.
Well, that's what Minnesota did. That's what they've been doing. They've been scoring a lot of runs for them, and everybody has been joining in the fun.
Well, you talked about the Twins just concluded homestand. Finished it up with back-to-back 4-game series. 4 against Chicago. They swept them and then took 3 out of 4 from Oakland. So they are riding high with plenty of confidence here. 2-0 pitch. And Torrey Hunter drives it to deep center field. Bourne back. It's over his head and off the wall. Plays it well. And into second base goes Torrey Hunter with a double. Saw Bourne's throw over the cutoff man, almost one-hop the mound.
Well, watch the location of this pitch from Bauer. Upstairs, center cut. Boy, and Torrey Hunter mashed it. He did exactly what he's supposed to do with it. The good thing for Bauer, it stayed in the ballpark. Goes off the wall about halfway up. Bourne gets it in. It was going to be a double anyway. He wasn't going to get it in to get him.
Well, the home run ball has been a problem for Indians pitchers. They've allowed a home run in 6 straight games coming into tonight. Joe Mauer, who historically has always hit well against the Indians, takes high, ball 1. Indians pitching held Mauer to 3 hits and 12 at-bats in their first meeting at Target Field. And Bauer evens the count up with a fastball strike. First-year manager Paul Molitor has the surprising Twins playing very good baseball. The 1-1. And Mauer lines it to left field. That's a base hit, and that'll put Minnesota on top in the first inning. He's going for second base. Brantley's throw is on the money, and Mauer just beats the tag of Jason Kipnis for an RBI double.
Well, Mauer, a guy that always hits the Tribe very well. So he goes inside out with this pitch, as he so often does. Remember when we went there the first time, he was trying to pull more pitches, and I thought it would be a great idea if he did because it's good for you. But you can see Mauer just does get the foot in there. And actually, that front foot slid over the bag.
He might be off the base there.
Well, yeah.
He is off the base.
He got the knee, but
he's off the base there. Terry Francona is going to challenge this.
That's a good challenge. I was going to say that front foot, that's a good angle, is off the base, and he's got the knee. So I'm going to say that he's going to be out. Just from what he was called safe.
And you see Terry Francona explaining to Adrian Johnson, I think his foot's off the bag. We've got the tag on him. So he'll go to the crew chief, Bill Miller, will Adrian Johnson. And now Paul Molitor's out is trying to say that it's too late to issue the challenge.
Well, he was saying Bauer was on the rubber. And if the pitcher is on the rubber and they're getting ready to pitch, you can't appeal it. But I don't know if they were in the box. I wasn't watching it clearly, and I think that's Molitor's beef. Let's see if he's on the rubber. He's not on it yet. Here you go. He gets on it, and he may have a beef there.
The batter's way out of the box, though.
That is true. But you see, I don't know where Terry is over here and where he was. Now, maybe he wanted to challenge something. He waited, and see, he's calling over Adrian Johnson. So now he comes into our picture. So this is going to be interesting. They are going to challenge it. It's under review. Well, the very first game of last year when replay came in, if you recall, we were in Oakland, and that same thing happened where, we had our pitcher on the mound and ready to throw, and then Bob Melvin came out and challenged it after. But they gave a little leeway because it was just starting.
Well, Terry was out of the dugout. It's not like he came charging out late. He was out. I think the umpires knew he was contemplating the challenge. So.
Right. And, from the angle we had, it looked like he was out because his front foot slid off the base and Kipnis had the tag on his knee, which was bent, and it never got to the base. Here's the play, and here's originally how it was called. His foot gets in there. There's the tag on the knee, and look where the foot is. It's above the base. Now, let's look and see if Hayes does anything. You see, he's telling Bauer, get off the rubber.
Yeah, with his right hand, he's waving him, get off the rubber.
Do you see him?
Yeah.
He did. Subtly says, get off the rubber. That was interesting.
Well, regardless of the outcome of the replay, the Twins will have the early lead. The run's going to score no matter what.
Right.
And so, once again, it's a situation where the Indians are down early. The opposition has scored first 17 times this year, and the Indians are just 3-14 in those games.
Well, and Hunter just missed a home run. They've given up 7 home runs in the first.
Yeah. Oh, gave up 10 all of last year.
Well, they got a ways to go if they want to improve on that.
They do get the call overturned. And
look at Molitor. Look at Molitor looking. He's peering at the umpires. But you know what? That's right. It was the right call. He's not happy. There's the call. They called him safe. He was off the base. That front foot didn't catch the bag. Now look at Hayes. Trevor, beat it. Get off the rubber. Look, go. Good camera work, boys.
So an RBI for Mauer, and he's out. Brantley with another great throw to get him.
You know, isn't that amazing, the camera work now? Before he would have been called safe, it's there. No big deal. But the 2 inches, that front foot was off, and you're out.
Well, that's why I think regardless of what base, if you're an infielder now and a guy comes sliding in, you've got to keep the tag on him all the way through the play, just in case.
Yeah, years past, you never used to have to tag him, you know, because if the ball beat you, a lot of times you were called out.
Phantom tag, he's out.
Sure. So now you're right. You've got to keep that tag applied at all times.
Remember, we had a play earlier this year at third base with Lonnie. Lonnie went over, had the tag on him, then he pulled it off, and the guy fell off the base.
Yep.
Had he kept the tag on him, he would have been out. But learning as we go along in this new wave of baseball and replay. Twins grab the early lead. Indians coming to bat. Presented by Progressive Insurance. Left-handed heavy tonight. Jason Kipnis leading it off. Then it's Carlos Santana. Brantley bats third. Moss, Chisenhall, Swisher in the middle. Bourne, Brett Hayes, and Jose Ramirez rounded out.
Tonight's Northern Ohio Honda starting pitcher is Mike Pelfrey, 6'7", 240 pounds. He will be making his 6th start. Every start he has made this year has come against the Central Division. This is his 2nd start against the Tribe. The first one went 5 innings, gave up 3 hits, and had a no decision. Pitched a good game, left leading 1-0. That's the game Minnesota beat the Tribe 3-2 in 11 innings. Their only extra inning game this year.
A little bit outside to Kipnis. 2 balls, no strikes.
Last time out, Pelfrey, they gave him 7 runs early off of Chris Sale, and he couldn't handle it. He went 3 1/3 innings, and he had to leave that ball game, his shortest start since September of 2013.
Caught the outside corner. Perfect pitch. Just dotted the eye on the outside edge.
He's got the split changeup, a lot like what Salazar throws. It's a very effective pitch for him. A fastball, it'll run, and also a slider.
Slowly tap foul.
Boy, can you believe how warm it is here today? It's great, isn't it?
Outstanding. 2-2 missed inside. I mean, we knew it was going to be nice when we came back home, but driving around today and the temperature on the car reading says 88 degrees. Like, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
Kipnis lines one high and fouling out of play. I mean, it went from early spring to summer overnight.
Our last game here was Sunday. And in center field, when you looked at those trees, the leaves were not on them.
I know.
Here it is Friday, and there's leaves on the trees. Not only in center field, but out there off of 9th Street. There you go. Welcome back.
Kipnis, the ground ball single into right field. He stays red hot out of the leadoff spot. And the Indians have their leadoff man aboard.
Well, let's check out the Twins defense, brought to you by Chrysler. In the outfield, it's Rosario, SCHAFER, and Hunter. On the infield, it's Plouffe, Santana, Dozier, and Mauer. Suzuki doing the catching.
Here is Carlos Santana. Takes ball one. This is a guy that the Indians desperately need to get going to help this offense really take off. And off the glove of Mauer, but right there to scoop it up is Dozier. And Santana retired, one away. Kipnis in the scoring position.
I think if Mauer gets that ball, there's a chance they have a double play, but it goes off. At least they got an out. It deflected right to Dozier, which was a heads-up play, and then no problem getting the one out. But it was a one-hopper. It deflects off the glove, but Mauer realized, just let me get the out. So tying run goes into scoring position.
That's the old 3-4-3. So Michael Brantley can get a chance to drive in a run. Brantley, he's only hitting .476 with a runner in scoring position on the year.
Well, he'll start getting hot.
Pelfrey's throw almost went into center field. Danny Santana came in to grab it. Indians trying to come right back and answer the Twins here in the bottom of the first. And it's low, ball one. Brantley has hit .333 on the road, .355 here at home. Yeah, that's a pretty good pitch by Pelfrey.
Yeah, well, that's one Brantley will not swing at. Really took something off. That pitch was just 77.
Now the 1-1. Up and in, spun him out of the way.
Well, that's one pitch that he will use and use it effectively to keep the hitters honest. Not saying he's going to go in there and throw it for strikes a lot, but he will move left-handers back off the plate, and his ball runs into right-handers.
Kurt Suzuki flashing the signs with the fancy nails.
It's Friday night.
There's a strike to the outside corner. You're telling me he went to the salon today?
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, it's time for the weekend. Let's go. I want the royal treatment.
Well, you can see it. Plain as day when he puts the sign down, so the pitchers will have nothing to complain about.
Turn, but nothing doing. Santana was bird dogging Kipnis. Outfield a little bit toward right for Brantley. Way outside and a full count.
You know, I really don't think he wants to do a whole lot here with Brantley, but he has to be careful because Brandon Moss is a .455 hitter behind him who's on deck. He's 5 for 11 off Pelfrey, so you've got to be careful.
Well, let's see if he challenges Brantley here on the 3-2.
I think he'll challenge him.
Right back to him, and Pelfrey drops the ball. That'll enable Kipnis to get back to second base, but now there are 2 down in the inning. Had he fielded it cleanly, he had Kipnis
in a rundown.
In a pickle.
Sure did.
Our T-Mobile game changer, Brandon Moss, 60% of his hits have gone for extra bases, 12 out of 20. Mark Teixeira, Jose Bautista, Jock Peterson, and Todd Frazier are the only ones that are a little bit higher.
Kid with the Dodgers?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 8 straight homers his last 8 hits up until last night when he got a base hit.
That's what the Dodgers need, one more good player. Here's Brandon Moss taking a strike.
That's why Kemp was expendable.
See the sort of shift. Interesting, they keep Santana over there at second base, maybe to keep Kipnis closer to the bag, or just because they don't want to completely open up the left side. I'm not sure.
Well, you know, I was talking to Molitor today a little bit about shifts, and, you know, he mentioned Moss. He says that first AB or something, I don't like to pull Moss over and put 3 guys on the right side of the infield.
Well, he pulls this one to first, and an easy play gets the Twins out of the inning. So a leadoff hit, but the Indians cannot answer. It's 1-0 Minnesota. Second inning here in Cleveland, 1-0 Minnesota on top. Corner's going to be a busy spot tonight. Everybody's got the shirt sleeves on, and it's summertime. Kurt Suzuki, Kenny Vargas, and Eddie Rosario to bat for Minnesota here in inning number 2. And Trevor Bauer, first pitch strike.
Look at Bauer this year against right-handed hitters, hitting just 164 off of him. Been very effective.
Hit to left field.
That's
pretty
going
well.
up.
That's in the gap, and that's going to one-hop the fence. Bourne plays it, but not before Kurt Suzuki pulls into second base with a leadoff double. Second two-bagger already for Minnesota.
Yeah, almost the third, if you think about it. And watch the pitch. Again, he is going down central. He's got to get out of the middle part of the plate early here. One of the keys to victory was fastball command for Trevor. And that one there found the gap. So for Suzuki, that's his very first double this year.
And it will bring up Kenny Vargas, Minnesota's DH. Never got untracked against the Indians in their first go-round. He was just 1 for 12 against Cleveland pitching. Bouncer to first. That'll get the runner over to third base, though.
Yeah, that's a productive out.
The injury report brought to you by the injury attorneys at Elk and Elk. Oswaldo Arcia, Eduardo Nunez, a couple of position players down. Casey Fiend, Tim Stauffer, part of the pitching staff. Well, here is Eddie Rosario, who has taken advantage of his opportunity. And he takes up high, ball one. Arcia went to the DL. Rosario got the call up and hit his first career homer on the first pitch he saw, and it came off Scott Kazmir, the former Indian.
Yeah, you're a young kid getting an opportunity. You get your first major league start. You look fastball. First one you see, you get after. And if it happens to be in your wheelhouse, which it sounded like it was. Well, you were watching him in batting practice today, saying the ball pretty much jumps off his bat.
Well, he's got an RBI single in the right field. And the Twins' lead is 2-0. He swings it with authority.
That is his fourth RBI. He comes down and in here, and typical left-hander usually likes a ball down in that area and finds the hole between first and second. So the Twins have scored in the first 2 innings here.
And up comes Jordan Schaefer. Checked his swing. I think he went around. Yes, he did, says third base umpire Bill Miller. Four hits for the Twins and 2 runs in.
Already 4 hits. They're taking some good swings off Bauer early in this game.
Runner goes on the 0-2. Strike 3 called. Throw to second. And he's called safe. Did he come off the bag? That's what Jose Ramirez thought as he went back to tag him.
Boy, did they pick the right pitch to run on. It was a slow hook. And Bauer gets the strikeout. He did come off the base, but his back foot stayed on it, I believe, Matt. There's the good throw. Hayes gets it in. His hand was in there, and then Ramirez is going to keep the tag on.
But there again, if you got to keep the tag on him.
See, but if
he keeps the tag on him, he's out. And that's where infielders, you've got to be in tune with the video era now. You can't just slap it down and show the umpire. That really doesn't mean anything anymore.
Well, you know what? You were right. That foot came about an inch off, and he was able to get the toe back on it by the time Ramirez could come back with the tag.
Fouled back by Danny Santana.
You know, a lot of times on a 0-2 count when a guy's running, you got to get to that bag and stay there, is what you're saying. You can't go in and have that momentum, and if he's safe,
I see what you're saying,
there
though,
and get to the bag first. Because his momentum, it looked like Ramirez was, carried him in front of the bag.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe we'll look at that again and see where, if his momentum, if you're at the bag and planted.
But what you're saying is sometimes the throw takes you. You can't. You got to get the ball.
Yeah, you got to catch the ball first and to get there. So I'm thinking if he's going to apply that tag, it helps if the infielder gets there and he's got a good foundation with his feet. He's not moving.
Danny Santana with 2 down, and Rosario in scoring position. A little chopper right out in front of the plate. Hayes, quick throw to first, and the inning is over. 1 run on 2 hits, 1 man left. Middle of the second. It's now Minnesota 2, Cleveland nothing. Lead as the Indians try to get the offense going here in the second. Lonnie Chisenhall, Nick Swisher, Michael Bourn.
You know, we looked at it in between innings, and Ramirez had the foundation. He was at the back, but he gave the swipe tag. He had the time to go right with that base runner and keep it on him, and that's something that he's going to have to learn to do because it was a strike 3 call. So he was there in plenty of time. The throw was right there, and I think he had time to do it.
Lonnie Chisenhall hits it hard, but look at the defense. Santana was shading him up the middle, and he was right there to take it away. 1 down.
Well, how many times do we see this? You think there's a base hit, whether it's left-handed, right-handed, and there it is. Right over the pitcher's mound, and there's a guy sitting right there to just suck it up and throw it to first base and say, nice swing. There used to be a lot of base hits up the middle. Not anymore. I mean, unless the pitcher caught it. There was base hits up the middle. It gets tougher and tougher to get them.
Well, here's Nick Swisher. And now they'll shift 3 onto the right side, playing him as a dead pull hitter. Pops it foul out of play to the left. Swisher 1 out of 11 in his return. Takes inside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Good change.
Swisher, like Carlos Santana, not a great career average against the Twins, but each of them had hit 16 home runs against Minnesota pitching. Nick's a lifetime .227 hitter against Minnesota. Santana, .237 lifetime average.
He's the only guy to homer off of Pelfrey.
1, 2, test, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, testing.
Now the 1-2 pitch, and it's up and away.
1, 2, 3, 4. I hope you got it.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out here in the bottom of the second. Pelfrey delivers, and it just missed inside, full count. He was trying to run that 2-seamer back over the inside corner.
Let's check it out on our Nissan pitch tracker. Just didn't come back enough. It was very good pitch. He thought it was going to move a little bit more, but if you miss, that's where you have to miss, off the plate.
And the payoff. Hit between the fielders and a base hit for Swisher. The ultimate seeing eye single through the shift.
Well, I'll tell you what, they had him played properly, but he hit the ball perfectly. That was right through. He threaded the needle.
Dozier and Santana both diving for it.
That's funny because Santana was the only one that really had a shot. If Dozier catches it, he's not going to be able to throw Swisher out. That ball gets through. Second hit for the Tribe.
And now Michael Bourn. And a fastball strike over the outside corner. Their first series was a 3-game set at Target Field, and in that 3-game series, the Indians batted just .213 and scored 8 runs in the 3 games against Minnesota. Now, whether that's a credit to, the Twins pitching better or the Indians offense really grinding at that point and unable to get anything going.
As we talked about, I think in the open, it's to a point now where it doesn't matter if you don't hit, you better pitch, to stay in the game and win it. The Indians have played the fewest one-run games of anybody in all of baseball. They've played 2. The next closest team is Kansas City. They played 4. Everybody else has played about 7 or 9. 7 to 9 I was looking at today.
Yeah.
They're not in the games. So I don't care how you do it. You either have to pitch better or you better hit better, but you got to find a way to win.
And at least give yourself a chance to win.
I mean, and normally 46 and 47 one-run games in the last 2 years for Tito, and they usually find a way to win those games. They got to get into closer ball games.
Well, Michael Bourn does a good job drawing the walk. So the Indians have the tying run at first here in the second inning. And Brett Hayes coming to the plate as Kurt Suzuki and Trevor Plouffe go out to chat with starter Mike Pelfrey.
All right, get live Indians baseball all season long with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. You can stay connected with live radio broadcast, stats, breaking news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball.
Pelfrey delivers. And it's outside ball 1. And Hayes trying to lean back, but it's over the inside corner. Evens the count, 1 ball, 1 strike. Broke his bat. And it's Mauer as he collides with Dozier, who hangs on. 2 away.
Well, either one could have caught it, but Mauer infield fly rule anyway. But, you know, it looked like Dozier was more up the middle, and he's coming over. And Dozier, I mean, I know he was a football player when he was growing up, but you don't want to hit Big Joe. He's a lot bigger.
You know, that was one of those tweeners. I never saw an umpire go up with this signal.
You didn't?
Because it was kind of a humpbacker, or they just didn't have time to react. But I never saw anybody immediately.
Well, it wasn't high enough to immediately do it, but it was up there.
Kind of a weird play, though. So 2-on-2 out, Jose Ramirez. Man, Ramirez in a situation where he's just dying for a hit. Bounces it right at the second baseman, and Dozier throws him out. Indians strand 2 in the second, and after 2, it's the Twins 2, and the Indians nothing. Minnesota with a 2-0 lead as we roll on to the third. Top of the order for the Twins, Dozier, Hunter, and Mauer. Brian Dozier flied to left. His first time up on the first pitch he saw. He takes here, it's outside, ball 1. And that's low, 2-0. 8 of the 9 batters, first time through the order, saw 3 pitches or less. So you have to say that they were aggressive in their first trip through the lineup against Bauer.
Second straight major league pop-up for Dozier. Well, tomorrow afternoon, 10,000 fans will receive a 1995 pennant. That'll be courtesy of Northeast Ohio Media Group. You can celebrate the Tribe's 95 World Series team as the Indians will take on these Twins again for the middle game of a 3-game series. It'll be a 4:10 start.
Yeah, Torrey Hunter steps in here. Doubled the straightaway center off the wall his first time up. A little tardy that time on the fastball.
Yeah, that ball was a little in more than the last one. That ball got down on the trademark and up, and that's where you're gonna, if you're gonna go inside with Torrey, get it up and in.
I don't know many hitters who don't like to extend their arms when they swing the bat.
All hitters
This
do.
guy really excels at it. When you leave a ball out over the plate to him, he tends to do a lot of damage to it.
You see where that scuff is on that bat? That's where
probably
that
where he hit
version.
it.
That's down. It did. I'm telling you, I was down near the trademark. It's tough to get the barrel head of that bat out front. You have to be out in front of home plate if it's inside, and that's hard to do.
He smacks that one into left center field. Bourne's got to really sprint to cut it off. Hunter with a big turn, going for two. Here's the throw. It's
Should
on
be
the
a dead
money.
duck.
And he is out from me to you.
That was not good base running there by Hunter. That's the second assist now by an outfielder. Michael Brantley had one. Now,
did he think he was going to catch Bourne with his head down?
I don't know. I can't answer that. Bourne got over there in a hurry, and it was, you know what? I like the aggressiveness of rounding first, but just hold up. He had plenty of time to stop and go back now because he picked up that play in plenty of time. He didn't even slide. And that ball that he hit, that had middle of the plate all over it again. So he had two pitches down the middle. He's 2 for 2.
I'm sure that's what Paul Molitor's asking him right now.
Yeah, well, that's just a mistake on his part. Yeah,
whatever Molitor said made him laugh.
Yeah, he's saying, what do you think, you were going to make it? Maybe 15 years ago.
Yeah, that's right. That's what he's telling him.
Yeah.
This isn't 2005. This
Right.
is 2015.
That's right. You know, and I got to tell you, he loves Torrey Hunter, too, by the way, over there, because he's the veteran on that ball club, and he shows these young kids a lot. And look, they're laughing at him, and you can laugh at it. And that's what happens when you're playing decent baseball. You make a mistake, you can chuckle. What's wrong with laughing?
Yeah.
Have fun. That's what it's all about. And, you know, he made the big mistake right there, and you can see. I mean, you know, he's going to give a hug here to Kipnis. Oh, man, I'm sorry. Here. But he makes Kipnis laugh.
If you're down 2-0 and you make that same mistake,
That's
not
different.
so funny.
Right. It's different.
Bauer cuts and misses, and Bauer strikes him out. No runs, a hit, nobody left. We'll go to the bottom of the third. It remains Minnesota 2, Cleveland 0. Friday night. Stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. For Cleveland here in the bottom of the third, top of the order. Jason Kipnis, who singled his first time up to lead it off. First time through the order, Indians had 2 hits, 1 walk.
You know, the amazing numbers for Pelfrey on the year, when you look at hitters 1 through 4, they're hitting just 188 off them. But you go 5 through 9, they're 100 points difference. They're hitting 280. Hard to figure that one out. But Kipnis led the game off with a single. He could not go any farther than second base.
Yeah, Indians 0 for 4 so far with the runner in scoring position.
You see, that's a pitch he's tried to go, Matt, a couple of times in there. He hasn't been able to hit with it, but it's still effective because it's in off the plate. See if he comes back something off speed, 2-1. He went right back in there. Doubled up on it.
And Kipnis draws a leadoff walk. Let's go down to Andre Knott. Indians' new look top of the lineup with Kipnis and Santana. Santana looks like he's still trying to get situated to this new lineup, isn't he?
Yeah, he's feeling for it a little bit, but hitting coach Cy Van Berkeley says he likes it because he feels like Kip brings an aggressive nature to the lineup now. He said the other day against Duffy, they said he wanted him to be aggressive. He was happy that they swung at the first 3 pitches of the game. They want Santana to get the same way. He says the rest of the lineup is doing it, and hey guys, the last 2 weeks, this lineup has the second best OPS in baseball, and that basically started when Kipnis took over as the leadoff hitter for the Tribe.
Yeah, I like that. It's going to be hard for Santana to make that adjustment, I think, getting more aggressive.
Not his nature, is it?
It's not his nature. He's not that type of hitter. But you know what? We've seen him get aggressive, but he gets more aggressive with guys in scoring position. He swings at bad pitches. I'd rather see him get patient with guys in scoring position, more aggressive when bases are empty. But, you know, it's just he sees a lot of pitches in every at-bat. And not many guys are going to throw him a fastball first pitch, you know, for the most part, because they know he's a good fastball hitter.
Takes a strike here.
Now, to me, that was a 2-0 pitch. He's sitting fastball. That was a fastball. And then I don't know why he ducks that pitch. That would have been a pretty decent pitch to hit, I thought.
That's outside, and it's 3-1, and out goes Suzuki. Well, look, the thing about Santana, Rick, is we've seen the power. And I don't know that at times, maybe because of the power, he tries too hard to be a power hitter. I think he's a better hitter than what we've seen. A 248 major league career average so far. I think he's a much better hitter overall than that. But it's just
he's
that
a 248 hitter that walks 100 times a year. If he didn't walk, he'd be a 215, 220 hitter. But he walks a lot.
Yeah.
He saves himself some at-bats. He just tries to pull everything.
There's a well-hit ball, deep left center field. It's in the gap, and that will one-hop the fence. Flying around second into third, Kipnis. They're going to wave him home. And he will score standing. Carlos Santana with an RBI double to the gap. Boy, do you love to see that approach.
If he would do this more often, he would be a much higher average hitter. It's tough to watch him to go to left center from the left side of the plate. This is going to be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. I love that swing going to left center field. He didn't try to hit that ball out. His bat stayed through the hitting area a lot longer than it normally does. That allows Kipnis to score from first base. So the Indians cut the lead in half, and Santana's on second, and still nobody out.
All right, so Michael Brantley. Grounded back to the pitcher his first time up. Sends this one up the middle. He gets the runner over to third, 1 away. So there again, it's a productive out. And the Indians can tie the game now if Moss can get a fly ball to the outfield here.
Right. Now, and I wouldn't think that the Twins infield are going to play him, but it looks like they are. So, yeah, you look for a pitch you can drive if you're Brandon Moss. This sort of surprised me with a 2-1 lead early in the game. They must feel that Pelfrey might be able to get the ground ball from Moss. He did ground to first base in his first at-bat.
Upstairs, ball 1. Started with a leadoff walk. And then Santana with a really good at bat. Doubled home Kipnis. Now he's at third with 1 out, representing the tying run. Moss pops it up.
I don't know if that's going to do it or not.
SCHAFER in shallow center makes the catch. Santana's going to bluff a move toward home. And the Twins catch a break there because that ball hit the front of the mound and kicked straight up. I don't think it would have gotten to home in time had Santana decided to go.
You wish you would have knew that before the throw. It hits the backside of the mound, and it pops straight up, and that's where Mauer is. He's just too shallow. You can't take the chance. You see it hits on the hill, and Mauer wisely cut that ball. So a missed opportunity there for Brandon Moss and the Indians, and see if they can get a 2-out base hit. What happened to Pelfrey?
Well, he left the field. Not sure what happened there. Oh, he picked up the bat, and it's got pine tar all over it because he picked it up above the trademark.
You can't get rid of it. You said, are you kidding me? You may like that if you're a pitcher. Get a little pine tar on the hands.
He did ask for permission to go to the bathroom. He asked the umpire.
Well,
I need a hall pass.
Oh, that's funny.
So Chisenhall looking for a 2-out hit now with Santana the tying run at third.
Yeah, pick him up.
And a strike called.
This is where, when you're going well, the team, you pick each other up. And, you know, right now it would be a perfect time for a 2-out base hit. I don't care if he cracks his bat, how he does it. Just get the run in.
26 balls, 26 strikes so far from Pelfrey, and that's inside 1-1.
Yeah, this is a guy he's tough to be aggressive on early in the count because he nibbles. He goes out there and he tries to make the perfect pitch. And he never gives in to the hitters. That's why a lot of times he'll be a 5-inning, maybe just a little more than a 5-inning pitcher. Although he did pitch back-to-back 7-inning games and won back-to-back starts for the first time since he's been a Minnesota Twin this year when he beat Kansas City and Detroit. Two pretty good offenses.
2-1 pitch.
There
Lonnie
you go.
Flares one to left field. Base
Bingo.
hit. And the 2-out RBI single ties the game.
That's what I'm talking about right there. Lonnie's been swinging a bat pretty well. But to get a hit right there, that picks your teammates up. It picks everybody up. You feel good about yourself. And now everybody can take a deep breath and say, way to go. Nicely done.
Rick, last year when Chisenhall was going well, we saw him do that a lot.
He got a lot of hits that way. Yes, he did. Well, the Indians tie the game. So you can see a 7-game hitting streak for Chiz. 8 for 22. But that hit right there is like found money.
And now Nick Swisher, who threaded a base hit through the right side of the infield his first time up. Fouls this one back out of play. She's got the Nick Swisher fan card. Inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. High and slicing foul over near the line. And it's a foul ball. Got into the seats. Rosario got over there, and had it stayed in play, he might have had a shot to catch that.
Well, he had a long way to go, and he's in foul territory now, so he had plenty of time.
Yeah, just on the other side of the rail. Swisher down on the count, a ball and 2 strikes. Rosario, it's interesting, he was a guy that they at one time had him at second base But then once Dozier emerged and got signed to a long-term contract, they put Rosario back in the outfield. And now with the injury to Arcia, here he is. And having an impact already for Minnesota. Weak ground ball hit towards the third baseman Plouffe with the shift on. And the inning is over. Indians rally back with 2 runs on 2 hits. They tie it here in the third. Ball game so far. Minnesota jumped out in front with a run on the first, 1 on the second. Indians come back with 2 in the third to tie it. And now Trevor Plouffe will lead it off against Trevor Bauer. And Bauer, good located fastball there.
Didn't know where you're going with what Trevor. Who are you going to go with first, either Bauer or Plouffe?
Well, this guy's got tremendous power. 4 for 8 against the Indians at Target Field, and he hit a home run in that series.
He won the game, didn't he, in extra innings? Was that?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, he hit the extra inning to beat us 3-2. That walk-off.
Yeah.
He's always played well against the Indians. But right now, for Trevor Bauer, he needs a shutdown inning.
Outside, he missed.
The Twins have a hit and at least 1 hit in every inning. This is where you want a 1-2-3.
That breaking ball hung a little bit, and Brantley won't get to it. 1 hops the fence. Another double for Minnesota. They've had 3 now in the game, and only on a replay reversal did they would have had another one.
I think the Minnesota's just hitting the ball and they're running until they get tagged out because they're hit all doubles. They had 2 guys thrown out at second base. Mauer and then Dory Hunter. He didn't stop, but there's a hanging breaking ball. Not where he wanted to leave it in the middle part of the plate, and Plouffe makes him pay. You make mistakes. Minnesota's swinging the bats well enough, and they've got a lot of confidence. They're not missing pitches right now. So, again, they get their leadoff double. They did it in the second. He came around to score. They're doing it here in the fourth.
Now Kurt Suzuki, who hammered one to left center his first time up.
Yeah, he led off the second with that double.
.40 pitches for Bauer so far. 27 of those have been strikes. Low and away, 2 balls, no strikes. Twins came into the game batting .298 with runners in scoring position, 6th best in Major League Baseball. Low and away.
Now, it looks like he's slowing down out there, too, Bauer. You know what? He's walking around, quicken up the pace. Get down. He had Plouffe down in the count 0-2, and he messed around and hung a breaking ball.
Yeah, that barely
there
caught
you
the
go.
corner.
3-0 slider right on the outside edge.
Suzuki, you can see by his facial expression, not happy with the call.
Well, he wasn't expecting that pitch on a 3-0 count, I don't think.
Twins already 2 for 4 tonight with a runner in scoring position. Now the 3-1. Back out of play. He might have got away with a hanger here.
It was. Look at, they sit it down and away, and that's backing up on him. That's sort of like the pitch that Plouffe hit. That one might have been just a little too high for Suzuki.
Well, 3-ball, 2-strike count. With Kenny Vargas waiting on deck.
Well, he's having a tough time agreeing what's going on, so they're going to go out and have a little conversation. That gives me time to send along some birthday wishes to Yolanda Joniak of Fairview Park, who is turning 95 today. Happy birthday. And Ursula Fena of Richmond Heights, 102 years old. Congratulations. Happy birthday, Ursula.
We've got one right in the middle we'll show you coming up here in a little bit. 3-2 pitch. Right back up the middle. Ramirez looks to third, but he'll take the sure out at first. 1 down. And now the go-ahead run for Minnesota is at third base with 1 away.
Let's take a look at some of the locations. Trevor Bauer, you wonder why they're getting hits. There's one right down the middle. There's another one there. Mauer insides out. It's getting way too much of the plate. And you don't have to ask anybody. He knows it. And then there's the hanging breaking ball. All of them were fastballs until that last one from Plouffe. So you've got to get out of the middle of the plate.
Now Kenny Vargas, who grounded out to first base in the second inning. And he bloops one into center field, and the Twins will regain the lead.
No shutdown inning here.
2 more hits for the Twins. They have 7 in the game, and they lead it 3-2.
They're inside. He jammed him on it, but, you know, that's what happens. He's a big, strong guy. It's not that it's a bad pitch, just that there's a man on third base. You don't mind giving up that single. But there was a man on third, so they retake the lead 3-2 for Vargas, his 9th RBI of the season.
1 on, 1 out for Eddie Rosario. Rosario drove in a run with a single in the second inning. Guy has 8 at-bats in the big leagues, 9 plate appearances. Already has 4 runs batted in. Fouled back. Down a little bit low. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Swung out and missed. Got him to chase one. Third strikeout of the night for Bauer. 2 down in the inning. Two down in the inning. And before Jordan SCHAFER steps in, let's go down to Andre, who has more on the growth of Trevor Bauer.
You know, it really is. When you watch Trevor Bauer, you forget his age sometimes and what he's been through because he can be so dominant. But I know the Indians have worked on him on body language and body image. And in his last start, he got frustrated and made kind of a bad play. And in this game, you've kind of seen him kind of go through the roller coaster of up and down. That's kind of the next step for Trevor Bauer and the pitcher that they want him to become, to deal with his emotions the right way.
Well, it may not seem like a big deal, but you can speak to this. When you're in the other dugout and you're facing a guy, if he lets on like he's frustrated or like you're getting to him, you feed off of that, don't you?
You sense it, yes, and you do as the opposing club because everybody watches you. Those guys are sitting up there in the dugout and they keep their eye on everything. You know, umpires' calls or how you react to certain situations. But I will say this, for Trevor Bauer, he's come a long way in a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's improved a whole lot, and he's only going to get better every time he goes out there.
Yeah, he's made tremendous positive strides forward.
Yes, he certainly has. You know, so but every team sits there and they watch the opposing pitcher and they look for tips and see if he's tipping any of his pitches. I mean, all eyes are on the starter or on the pitcher. You know, but there's nothing wrong with showing emotion. And showing that. I have no problem with that. Not everybody's going to go out there and pitch like Corey Kluber, and you don't know if he's pitching a no-hitter or he's giving up 9 runs. That just doesn't happen. I love to see a little emotion from a pitcher every once in a while.
The 1-2. That bounced in front of the plate. Hayes got a long run to get to it, and he won't have a play. So a strikeout and a wild pitch, and the Twins keep the inning alive.
Well, not much you could do there. That ball is way out in front of the plate, and Hayes, he just tried to block it. And with 2 outs, a man on first, it goes off his left shoulder, deflects over in front of their dugout, and he didn't have time. So really not his fault. So they're going to get 4 outs in this inning. And that's the second strikeout in the inning for Bauer. We'll try and end it right here.
Well, here's Danny Santana, who hit a little 3-footer right in front of the plate his first time up. And Hayes jumped on it, threw him out. Swings at the first pitch and a foul back.
This is a guy that'll chase pitches out of the strike zone. That do you want to bounce him? You go ahead. You can do it here.
Santana 0 for 9 against Indians pitching on the year. And that high fastball, he was no match for it. 0-2.
You can go up there again or you can bounce one. Take your pick. Trevor Bauer this year in the 4th inning has had some issues. His ERA is up over 12 on the year.
Now the 0-2. And he just spoiled it to stay alive.
He went upstairs to try and climb the ladder there. Okay, now it's time to take him off that pitch. Come back with a curveball down, and you can bounce this one.
Into the glove of Santana, who leaped high in the air to snare it to end the inning. Twins regain the lead. With a run on 2 hits, they leave 2 stranded. 3-2 Minnesota. With the Royals clashing with the Tigers. Coverage begins at 12:30 Eastern on your home for baseball every Saturday, Fox Sports 1, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Michael Bourn walked his first time up. Bourn looks at a pitch outside. It's 2-0. Took a hack, fouls it away. 2 balls and a strike. Bourn trying to snap an 0-for-9 spell. And a line drive deep center. Back goes SCHAFER. Still going back and makes the running catch for out number 1.
Got a pretty good jump on that ball. Seemed like he just outran it. He turned and he had a good look at it all the way as soon as his first step was there, and he's just going to reach up right in stride. That's why that first step as an outfielder is so important, when you get your shoulders, your hips going in the same direction and your direct line to where that ball is going. That's a nice running catch. It's not as easy as it looks.
Brett Hayes pops one of the seats. (3-2) Minnesota here in the 4th. A little bit outside and a good eye by Hayes to lay off. Up the middle, cut off by the shortstop Santana, and Maurer can't hold on at first, and Hayes is aboard with an infield single.
You know, I'm not so sure that Santana, he might have been able to spin, you know, do the 360 and throw to first. He tried to throw off balance where he was running to right field. Really couldn't get off of it. I'm not sure, but it looked like he had time. You have the catcher running, you know, where he could have made a better throw than what he did, because he did a nice job getting to the baseball, but he chose to throw it on the run. And Maurer couldn't help him out there.
That's that weird. It's the in-between hop for a first baseman. They'd rather have the short hop so they can just go out there with their glove and kind of pick it.
And Maurer's a catcher. He's not a first baseman. I mean, he's playing first, yes, but that's not his natural position. You get a guy like maybe a Mark Teixeira or Eric Hosmer out there, and they'll probably pick that one.
Jose Ramirez with an 0-2 count. And it's low. 1 ball, 2 strikes. (13 of the 14 hits this year for Jose Ramirez have come from this side of the plate. There's a fly ball left field. Back goes Rosario, and he's got that 2 down. Time now for a Mazda game break. Al Pawlowski.
Hey, Matt. Rick, let's head out to Detroit. Royals and Tigers. Detroit with 4 runs in the bottom of the second, capped off by this Ian Kinsler 2-run single. However, KC has just come back and scored 4 of their own in the top of the 4th. So we're even at 4. 4th inning, Matt.
Yordano Ventura has allowed 7 hits in that game.
That ought to be a good series for the weekend.
Kipnis with a liner right at Rosario, and the inning is over. No runs, a hit, a man left. We've played 4. It's the Twins 3 and the Indians 2. Cleveland Clinic. Call for an appointment today. And by the game-changing all-new Ford F-150. The future is tough. 3-2 Minnesota as we roll on to the 5th. Top of the order for the Twins, Brian Dozier, Torrey Hunter, and Joe Mauer. A little bit high, ball 1. Dozier has flied to left both times tonight.
Well, for the most part, through the first 4 innings, Minnesota's been aggressive off Bauer. They're swinging at 60% of his pitches. But we showed you some locations on some of the hits that he has given up, and a lot of them have been middle of the plate. That's why they're swinging early.
.30 count. And it's in for a strike. Hit pretty well to center. Back goes Bourne. He's got room. On to the warning track. 1 down. Our in-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Eddie Rosario in the second inning, a 1-out RBI single made it 2-0 Minnesota. Indians would come back on a 2-out RBI hit by Lonnie Chisenhall in the third to tie it. And then the Twins go back in front on this little jam shot by Kenny Vargas that drives home Trevor Plouffe. That was in the 4th. 3-2 Twins now in the 5th. Torrey Hunter, a perfect 2 for 2 on the night. Only mistake for Hunter so far tonight, a little overly ambitious on his last hit, trying to leg a single into a double. That one was up and in, got his attention. He had to quickly duck to get out of the way.
Oh, yeah. The high rider. Yeah, that's what happens. You do it to a veteran, I'll tell you what, he's going to dig in, and you woke him up there.
That is a laser shot home run by Torrey Hunter. That's 4th of the year. He is 3 for 3 on the night, and the Twins lead it now 4-2.
And a triple away from the cycle. You know, good ball players, they get buzzed up there around the head, and I'll tell you what, that wakes him up. And he certainly did. I want to see what the pitch is. That's exactly what you try to do as a hitter, and he comes back with that same pitch trying to go inside, and I'll tell you what, he just smoked it.
Only the third home run allowed by Bauer this year. But Torrey Hunter has had his number tonight.
That might have been a changeup right there by Bauer. And he usually has a really good changeup, but that one he's made some mistakes tonight.
Twins have scored in all but one inning.
Yeah, they've hit in every inning. Bauer has yet to have a 1-2-3 inning.
Struck out Mauer his last time up. And that's fouled on the left side. Mauer, a career .337 hitter against the Tribe coming in, and that's over 132 games. Our stat of the game brought to you by Buick. In the divisional era, there are the highest averages against the Indians.
How about that? 384.
Action in the bullpen, and that ball's in the dirt. Bauer's only at 70. You see, there's 72 pitches.
Yeah, but you know what? He just doesn't have it tonight. He's grinding his way through this. Given 8 hits, 4 of them extra base hits. There, he got one inside.
Ramirez, the shortstop, calls for it. 2 down. Here's our AT&T Uverse Rewind. Up and in. Got his attention.
Look at that.
He's got yours.
Yeah, the wily old veteran taught him a lesson.
Ran it upstairs and a fastball by Plouffe, who doubled and scored in the 4th. Not chasing that time. And now it's 3-1. Kurt Suzuki waiting on deck.
Could break it, ball in a 3-1 count.
Got him looking. Painted the outside corner. Plouffe can't believe it. That's the 5th strikeout for Trevor Bauer. But the Twins go deep on the Hunter homer, and they lead 4-2. For the Indians, 2, 3, and 4 hitters due up. Carlos Santana, Michael Brantley, and Brandon Moss. Santana doubled in a run and scored his last time up. Looks at a breaking ball outside. This is one of those big innings for a pitcher in a game. And Santana pops it sky high. Dozier, the second baseman, makes the catch, 1 away. Our Levin player profile is on Pelfrey, who went to Wichita State for college after attending Wichita Heights High School in the state of Kansas. Kind of has an odd habit. We haven't seen it tonight, but in the past, he's a guy that will lick his fingers between pitches, before the catcher throws the ball back.
Right.
And a reporter counted him one time. He did it 89 times in one game.
Getting the moisture on the fingertips. That's why I'm surprised when he grabbed that bat, we showed it. When he went back there, go ahead. You don't have to lick it. Well, he get some stickum on there.
Maybe that's why he's not licking his fingers tonight. He didn't want to get that stickum, the pine tar in his tongue. The 0-1.
Well, yeah, people want to get a nice feel for the baseball. You see him wipe the hand.
Mm-hmm.
Kluber does that a lot.
Yeah.
Watch Kluber. Kluber is always, you know what? We'll start counting
We'll have to put the count on the clock on him, see how many times he does it. Now the 0-2. Pulls it foul.
I mean, when he was behind the plate, it was a sacrifice fly. He's trying to get rid of the bat. Oh, my God. Brandon Moss got all that pine tar. Does someone want to take this?
So he had to disappear. He went into the dugout.
Excuse me, Jim. Can I go out and clean my hand?
Can I go to the restroom, please?
I got to wash my hand. Got to get a permit.
So he went in the dugout and cleaned off his hands. And he jams Brantley in an easy rollout, 2 down. With more on the 6'7" Mike Pelfrey, let's go down to Andre.
I'm talking to some of the hitters before the game tonight, and I asked what made Mike Pelfrey so tough to go against. They said not only the height and where the ball comes from, but they say he's effectively wild. Michael Bourne said he came up around the same time that he came up. He says he used to throw 96, and it was even tougher to go against him because he never knew where the ball was going. Now he doesn't throw as hard, but he mixes in a couple other pitches, and he's never in one place in the strike zone. He's effectively wild, and that helps him out when he's on the mound.
Yeah, that's why he was such a big first-round pick when he came out of Wichita State by the New York Mets. He was big. He could throw it downhill, as they like to say, and he could throw it in the mid-90s, up to 97 miles an hour at one time. Moss trying to beat the shift. Long throw for Dozier.
Oh, man.
And he got him by a whisker.
He almost hit the third baseman, Plouffe, in the shoulder with it.
Well, big shutdown inning for Mike Pelfrey. He retires the Indians 1-2-3.
Get down.
As we go to the 6th inning here at Progressive Field, don't forget, franchise 4, time's running out. You still have time to log in and vote, MLB.com/franchise4. Got to pick 4 from this 8 for the Indians, Mount Rushmore. Kurt Suzuki, Kenny Vargas, Eddie Rosario to bat for Minnesota in the 6th. Trevor Bauer starts the inning just shy of 80 pitches. And a ground ball foul, third base side.
Trevor is usually one of those guys, he seems to get better as the game goes on, but the Twins have been consistent tonight. They've scored in 4 of the first 5 innings and another leadoff double.
Another gap shot by Suzuki. It's almost an instant replay of his double in the 2nd inning.
Yeah, it really is. It might be the same pitch. That's their 4th double. They have a homer, so there's 5 extra base hits. That looks like a little slider there. It plugs the gap again. And here comes Terry Francona. That's going to do it for Bauer. Looked like they had Zipchinski up throwing the left-hander in the bullpen, and his night is over. 5+ innings.
Trevor Bauer allowing 9 hits tonight, 4 runs, and of course he's responsible for Suzuki at second base. The Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen will be for the left-hander Nick Hagedorn. He's coming on when we come back. All right, back here at Progressive Field, 4-2 Twins. Leadoff man's at second base. Kenny Vargas coming up. He'll be facing Nick Hagedorn. Hagedorn, over his last 3 games, has pitched an inning and 2/3. He's allowed 4 runs on 5 hits with a walk and 1 strikeout.
Yeah, command has been an issue. He's been throwing a lot of deep into the counts. I mean, really hasn't been able to throw his breaking ball for strikes.
Threw his fastball by Vargas, who drove in a run with a base hit in the 4th inning. Zach McAllister now up for Cleveland in the pen. And a foul back, a late swing by Vargas, 0-2. See if he tries to go up the ladder. Vargas has not really been able to catch up to it. He did, but he got a piece of it to stay alive.
Exactly what he did, Matt. He tried to go a little bit higher, thinking he could throw it by him, and he was just, it hit the glove. Hayes, it just bounced out.
And the breaking ball is blooped to right for a base hit. Coming around third is Suzuki, and he's held right there. Throw to the plate on one hop, blocked by Hayes. So first and third with nobody out. Had him 0-2 and came with a breaking ball, but
breaking ball stayed upstairs on him, and he muscled it into right field. It wasn't down, and he went the other way. He wasn't catching up with his fastball. They decided to go with the breaking ball, and he goes the other way. That's 10 hits now for the Twins, and it's first and third and nobody out.
There's Eddie Rosario, 1 for 2. He singled in a run in the second inning. Be an interesting matchup here. The youngster seems to have great bat speed, but could not catch up to that heat at 95.
Well, that's a pitch the young man's going to have to learn to take, because it's a fastball he's not going to do anything with. It's letter high, and if he does anything, probably fouls it straight back. But he swung through it, so stay there. I mean, you look, when you're young, you look for a pitch to drive, you look for that fastball, especially with a man on third base, but that's a little too high. See how they come at him again.
Stand right with the cheddar.
Power River, baby.
And the 0-2. Threw it right by him. 97. That had a little movement as well. And that strikeout is out number 1.
It's going to be our Circle K strikeout of the day. He didn't waste any time. 3 straight fastballs. And you're right, that had some movement to it. That was not a straight 4-seam fastball. I don't know how he held it, but that ball looked like it took off on him a little bit. You can see how Rosario had to reach for it. So they get the first out. Another left-hander here for Hags. And then you got Santana on deck.
Well, Jordan SCHAFER. He's 0 for 2. Struck out twice. Reached on a wild pitch after he struck out in the 4th. Trying to bunt. Santana misfires, and everybody's safe.
You know, that's a great heads-up play. The runner didn't take off. It's a safety squeeze, I believe, because then all of a sudden, Suzuki started to run in. It's a safety squeeze. He doesn't take off as soon as Hagedorn throws it. You make sure that the batter gets the ball on the ground. He did. And I'll tell you, Santana was peeking. If he catches the ball, he might have had a play at home plate, but he didn't. And he came in, and I'll tell you, that was a big run, I felt, right there to get them that 5th run of the ball game. You see where he's at? He's not even halfway down, and Santana was peeking at the runner. So he never saw the ball go into his glove, and it didn't. And we'll see how they score that, but they get their run in.
They'll give him an error, a sacrifice, and an RB. Yeah, well, yeah. Sacrifice, an RBI, and an error, all in the same play.
You know, that's a play there that Joe Madden used to use a lot with Tampa Bay. When you're down at the bottom part of your lineup, you've got guys on, and you're, you know, left-hander on lefty. Great situation to do it right there if you're Schaefer, and if you're the Twins, it's a heads-up play, and I think a nice call by Molitor, because for the most part, Hagedorn, you're going to get a fastball. That should be the pitch to bunt. He bunted it hard enough where the guy's not forced to run to home plate, you know, if he pops it up. So it's really, I like that play. And that to me, sitting on the corner is a big run sitting out, a 4-2 game. You know, you add one more in the middle part of this ball game, and they've scored in 5 of the first 6 innings.
I'd have liked it a lot better if Santana would have fielded the ball cleanly.
I know. Yes, I agree. So you close the book on Trevor Bauer now. He gives up all 5.
That gets away from Hayes, and now the bases are loaded. So the walk loads the bases, and out comes Terry Francona, and back we go to the bullpen. So Hagedorn allows a hit and a walk, strikes out a batter. Should have had an out on the bunt attempt, but we go back to the pen as we turn it over to the top of the order, and Minnesota leading at 5-2. One out. Brian Dozier will be the batter, and the new pitcher is Zach McAllister. McAllister making his 11th appearance on the season. No wins, a loss, ERA 3.79. He's punched out 21 in his 19 innings of work. But he's in a tough spot here.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to keep this a 5-2 ball game. This is where Minnesota has a chance to open it up. It's up to McAllister. We'll see now, getting back to the top of the lineup.
They had a fastball inside, almost got Dozier. There's a bullseye with a fastball. Kenny Vargas, who singled, is at third base. Schaefer reached on the air, is at second. Santana, who walked, at first.
And this is a guy that can run pretty well down the line, so if you do get the ground ball, and down goes Dozier.
2-1 to count.
They're going to have to turn it quickly in the middle. So this one's up and in. See the fastball from McAllister. Takes off and has some run to it. He's able to snag it.
The 2-1. Boy, a fastball just straight out challenged him. And McAllister threw a dart down around the knees, 2-2. And at 96 miles an hour, even though it had a lot of the plate, Dozier was a tad tardy. The pitch. Threw it by him upstairs that time. 97 miles an hour. A huge strikeout for McAllister. 2 down in the inning.
Yeah, it was. That's a very big out, and one more to go because Dozier, he challenged him. He fell behind in the count, came back, and threw 2 good fastballs. He comes up empty. Now he's going to face the toughest out in that lineup tonight, Torrey Hunter. He's 3 for 3 and a triple away from the cycle, a double, a single, a homer.
That fastball blistered at the knees, outside corner at 97 miles an hour. So McAllister, knowing how important this situation is. Indians already down 5-2. Can't afford really to fall any further back. Bases loaded, 2 down. 0-1 pitch. Drilled, left center, gap shot. Hunter finds the wall, and that will clear the bases. The veteran comes up with a big 2-out, 3-run double to blow it open as the Twins lead it now 8-2.
Well, I want to see the location here. It looked like Torrey Hunter, if you look at his pitches tonight, boy, they have been right down Broadway, and he smoked this ball into left center field. There it comes. It came right back middle of the plate, and that clears the bases with 2 outs. Everybody off and running, and they end up having a 4-run inning. And that's the way they've been doing it. They've been hitting with runners in scoring position as a team, and there's your leader. He's been the culprit tonight.
8th man to bat in the inning is Joe Mauer. And McAllister with a strike. How to play left side. Right at the third baseman, Lonnie Chisenhall, will throw out Mauer to end the inning. But Torrey Hunter, who's been a thorn in the Indian side for so many years, delivers another big hit on a big night. 8-2 Twins. the Twins. Bottom of the 6th, it'll be 5, 6, and 7 due up for Cleveland. And Mike Pelfrey working with a 6-run lead as Lonnie Chisenhall takes a strike.
Well, in the last 2 starts, Pelfrey, they've treated him very well, giving him run support. I mentioned in his last start against the White Sox, he only lasted 3 1/3.
Wicked smash to short, but Santana with a terrific play to get him 1 down. Earlier tonight, the ceremonial first pitch was thrown out by 100-year-old Broadview Heights resident and Tribe fan Chuck Yasenka.
All right, Chuck, congratulations.
He played golf into his 90s, but it's been about a decade since he last got here to the ballpark to see an Indians game in person. But he was here tonight with nearly 100 friends and family members to see him throw out the ceremonial first pitch.
That is awesome. He looks good. 100 years old. Unbelievable.
Ground ball. This is Santana again. Swisher retired. 2 down. It was a very nice gesture on the part of the Tribe. I mean, his 3 great-granddaughters sent a birthday card to the ball club with a handwritten note, and Corey Kluber, Michael Bourne, Sandy Alomar, and others signed the card for him, and then they presented it to him down on the field
Very
before
nice.
the game tonight. Think about it. He was in his 30s, right? Is that right? 1915. He would have been in his 30s when the Indians won the World Series. So he
In 1920?
1948. Well, he would have been 5 years old when they won it in 20.
Yeah.
So
He said, seen them both.
yeah,
How about that?
yeah.
He's got to be a Tribe fan. He witnessed them. We should have had him up here. Had a chance to talk to him.
The 1-1 pitch. Bourne smacks it up the middle. And a 2-out single keeps the inning alive.
Well, enjoy the new family deck and expanded kids clubhouse on Kids Fun Day that'll take place this Sunday. Plus, kids get to run the bases after the ball game, as always, on Sundays. Visit Indians.com for the tickets and for the details.
Here is Brett Hayes, 1 for 2 on the night. Infield single his last time up. Pop back out of play. Bourne takes his lead at first, where he's held on by Maurer. Pelfrey's got Hayes down 0-2, and it's popped back out of play. One out left here for the Tribe in the 6th, plus 3 more chances at the plate, but down 6 in another series opener that has gone sideways on them.
Well, as we talked about it earlier, falling behind early. 1 in the first, 1 in the second. They were able to come back and tie it up in the 3rd, but response, bing, bing, bing. Minnesota came right back, and they didn't stop, and then they put a really big crooked number on that board, the 6th, to open it up.
Yeah, they scored on all but 1 inning in this game. Hayes yanks it foul. Oh, Charlie Nagy went after that one. I think he took it off the chest.
Charlie, he's on the road. Speaking of Charlie, it was Charlie's birthday on Cinco de Mayo
a
few days ago.
Yep.
Wherever you are, Charlie, happy belated, my friend.
Got a message from Chuck this morning. He's doing well.
Good, as always.
1-2 pitch and a chopper foul. Speaking of Charlie Nagy, the 95 Indians commemorative pennant will be giveaway tomorrow.
Right. And as they're going to do things all year long, we'll see him at some point in time this summer in June.
Hard to believe. That's
I know.
20 years already.
I know it. It is hard to believe.
Chopper to short. Danny Santana goes to second, and the inning is over. 6 in the books. 8-2 Minnesota. By Kia. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. By Levin Mattress, located in all Levin furniture and freestanding locations. And by AT&T Uverse, has more channels on the go than cable. All right, 8-2 Minnesota, and as we head to the 7th inning, Cleveland goes back to the bullpen, and the new pitcher will be former Minnesota Twin Anthony Swarzak. It'll be Trevor Plouffe, Kurt Suzuki, and Kenny Vargas due up for Minnesota here in inning number 7.
Yeah, he pitched one time against his former mates in Minnesota where he went 2/3 of an inning, gave up 3 hits and a couple of runs, so he's got a chance to come back and get some bragging rights here. They've been swinging the bats very well tonight.
That's a high and slicing foul on the line.
They have 5 doubles, a home run, and really have hit the ball very well. They've had some nice pitches to hit, too, and they haven't missed them.
And a foul back.
Minnesota, too, this year, as I mentioned, they played very well at home. They played the fewest road games. They've only played 12 games on the road. They're 4-8. And on the road, you wouldn't be able to tell tonight. They've averaged under 3 runs a game, average of 2.8. Well, they have 8 tonight. Their batting average was .214.
Swarzak off the mound, bare hand grab, throw to first, 1 away. Here's our Yellowwood bringing the lumber tonight. Kurt Suzuki twice in the ball game led off an inning with a gap shot double to left center field. Both times he came around to score.
Almost like a instant replay. He has 2 doubles. Torrey Hunter has 2 doubles, a homer and a single. And for Hunter, that home run, that's only their 3rd on the road as a team.
To first base, scooped up by Santana. 2 down. I think that's a big question a lot of folks had about Minnesota with their terrific start to the season. How would they do on the road? 12-5 at home.
Right.
But 4-8 so far on the road.
Looking to go 5-8. Yeah.
Looking good so far here tonight. Kenny Vargas, 2 out of 3 with 2 singles, an RBI, and a run scored.
You know, when you have a young team, it's a first-year manager, Paul Molitor taking over. It is encouraging when they can get off to a good start because young kid, you get a little confidence. You know, not that they're all young, but they're basically going with a lot of young kids here and waiting for a lot of their prospects to come up to the big leagues. You know, they're pitching. They signed Urban Santana to a 4-year deal. They tried to strengthen that up, and what happens to him? The PEDs. He gets suspended for 81 games right out of the chute. So they got to try and pick that up. But we'll get a good look at him all year long.
Yeah, I mean, you look back on it, and the way it starts out, coming out of camp, it looks like it's going to be a disastrous season. Nolasco was put on the DL early in the year.
Right.
And you're thinking, wow, they're in really deep trouble. And yet, here they are, early May, a couple of games out of first, and really playing inspired baseball. Good pitch inside corner, strikes him out. First time tonight, the Twins are retired in order. 7th inning stretch brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. On top, bottom of the 7th inning. Jose Ramirez to lead it off for the Tribe, Jason Kipnis, and then Carlos Santana. Mike Pelfrey, 93 pitches so far on the night.
Well, he's getting better as it goes along because the first time through the lineup, he threw 38 pitches to him. Second time, 33. And right now, it's at 23, and he has one more out to go for the 3rd time.
Twins getting the bullpen busy as Ramirez looks at a strike to even the count. Good bunt. Pelfrey has to field it with a bare hand, and he throws him out.
It's a good play. He just didn't get it to the line enough.
Coming up on Fox Sports Live later tonight, action from around Major League Baseball. Good one in the Motor City. The Tigers and Royals tied 4-4. Also, Stanley Cup playoff action. NBA, you got the Clips and Rockets going later tonight. Cavs and Bulls.
Right now, you're at halftime.
Cavs up 2 at the break against Chicago in the all-important Game 3 of that series, even at a game apiece. Jason Kipnis, a single, a walk, and a run scored. Smash to center. SCHAFER, 2 down.
Well, come on out and catch a game at the new 2-story bar with our $13 district ticket. It is presented by Sports Time Ohio, and the new bar is the best place in town to grab a cold one. And with the district ticket, the first drink is on us. Go to Indians.com.
Carlos Santana. 1 for 3 on the night. Curveball over the outside corner for a strike.
Yeah, you see he's starting to drop that in there for strike 1 a lot.
%62% of his pitches for strikes tonight. Bullseye. It's 0-2. Beautiful night here in Cleveland. 82 degrees at game time. Just a few clouds overhead, but they're rained out in Chicago. White Sox, Reds. Rockies also in a rain delay at home against the Dodgers in Colorado.
Chicago has only played 25 games this year. They were in Baltimore when they had to cancel those couple of games.
Those, right?
Yes.
And they lost one to Kansas City, so that'll have to be made up too.
Yeah.
Another one tonight.
Coming back in there for the 3rd time. And has missed all 3 times. Same spot, and Santana just took every one of them.
Well, Pelfrey going to try again. 3-2 pitch. Right at Dozier in the outfield. He'll throw him out. Indians go 1-2-3. Pelfrey, 7 strong. 8-2 Minnesota. This copyright and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. It's an 8-2 Minnesota lead as we go to the 8th inning. Anthony Swarzak worked a 1-2-3 7th. He'll stay on to pitch here in the 8th. Eddie Rosario leading it off. Takes a strike. Out of play. Fouled back. Rosario out of Puerto Rico was a 4th-round pick 5 years ago. I mean, we heard some things said about this young man that before the game we literally had to say, wait, excuse me, what did you say?
Yeah.
Swung on and missed. And Rosario strikes out for the 3rd straight time in the ball game. And it's not to say that this guy isn't going to become a tremendous player, but boy, it is amazing how many times we have heard, whether it be scouts or organizational people, say of a young player, he reminds me of, and fill in the blank. And you look at him and say, really? You're going to put that on this young man?
Right.
Not that they're doing that for publication's sake, but you shouldn't do it at all.
I agree. It's hard. And we had somebody tell us who said it was a longtime guy in the Minnesota farm system that came up and said Rosario, his hands reminds him of Rod Carews.
One hop smashed to short, picked by Ramirez, and he throws out SCHAFER 2 down. Now, you played against Rod Carew. You saw him in the flesh. He was, I mean, a tremendous,
he could do everything he wanted
hitter.
to with the bat. You know, wanted to. He could bunt. He could do anything. He could hit the ball in any hole and just about anybody.
And he may have had a game where he struck out 3 straight times.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure he did, but I'd like to see it. I want to see the scorecard and who did it. But no, yes, it's hard to do that to young players because, you know, nowadays the way the media is, it's out there to be seen and everything like that. I mean, the kid had a good day. He came up and hit the first pitch he saw for a home run.
I always it's an old saying that I heard years ago that greatness is someone who comes along that doesn't remind us of anyone we've ever seen before. That's true greatness.
Well, you got to be yourself.
Yeah.
No matter how great you are, you still have to be yourself. People like to, you know, compare you to people that you may remind them of. But
what
it's
a
not
diving
always a good
stop
thing.
by Kipnis.
Nice play.
1, 2, 3 go the Twins here in the 8th inning. Anthony Swarzak has retired all 6 that he's faced thanks to some great glove work by Jason Kipnis. Noon, and Indians Live will lead off our coverage at 3:30 from the porch, or actually from the corner here at Progressive Field. Alan Jensen will have all the action starting at 3:30. Rick and I will be along with Andre for the first pitch starting at 4 here on Sports Time Ohio. Michael Tonkin, who got the call up when they put Casey Fiend on the DL, will make his second appearance.
Well, Pelfrey, as we told you at the start, every start that he has made this year has been against the Central Division, and he's looking to go to 3-0.
Well, fastball strike.
He kept the ball on the ground tonight, Pelfrey did. He threw 93 pitches, had one swing and miss all night. Allowed 6 hits.
Brantley drives one deep center field. She is gone. Brantley with his 3rd home run of the season. A solo shot here in the 8th. And the Indians now trail at 8-3.
He picked on a nice fastball down in his zone, and he gives it a ride. And I'll tell you, that reminded me of the other home run he hit on a line drive. Didn't take long.
Yeah.
He lifts it, it goes right out of there. They're not underneath, and there's no hang time. They are hit about as well as you can hit a baseball.
Perfect example of a home run being a product of a good at bat, a good swing.
Right. That was a line drive. I'd like to see
This one skied to center field. And Brandon Moss is 0 for 4 tonight.
There's Michael right there. It's down. It's middle of the plate. And boy, he stays back and just uncoils.
You're just looking at that replay from the center field camera. You're not thinking, well, that's a home run. That looks like a line drive to the gap.
Right, but he's strong enough. And his last home run came that way. He has 3 on the year, but, man, there are bullets.
And it ends up going 412 feet before it touched down. Lonnie Chisenhall 1 out of 3 with an RBI single. Unfortunately, the Indians still down 5 and running out of outs. 2 away. Indians Live comes your way after the ball game from the corner with Alan Jensen. Presented by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. Downstairs, ball 1. After the homer by Brantley, the Indians go 1-2-3. We'll head to the 9th, 8-3 Minnesota.
Well, as we told you earlier, it's time now for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Let's look at the night that Torrey Hunter has had. He has had a wonderful night, starting it off with a double in his first at-bat. And then he's going to try for another double, thrown out by a mile. And then he gets buzzed, and the very next pitch he hits one deep into the seats for his 4th home run. Then comes back with the bases loaded and clears them. 4 for 4. He has 4 RBIs, and what a night the veteran has had for Minnesota. Something we've witnessed him do many times as a Minnesota Twin.
Yeah, unfortunately. Ryan Webb coming into the ball game after Anthony Swarzak had 2 perfect innings of relief. Top of the order, Dozier, Hunter, Mauer. Dozier 0 for 4. And that's smashed to deep left. Brantley back. It's over his head. Short hops the
Another
fence.
leadoff double. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 of them tonight. 4 leadoff doubles. Dozier just hits it, goes over the head of Michael Brantley. And 6 doubles for the Twins.
Torrey Hunter back in the 3rd inning. Hit a ball to left center field. It was in the gap. He decided to go for 2, and Michael Bourn threw him out by plenty, and he got back to the dugout, and he and his manager, Paul Molitor, had a little conversation. Whatever Molitor said was pretty comical because Torrey Hunter and he were both laughing. And I said maybe Paul looked at him and said, look, it's 2015, not 2005.
Yeah.
Well, funny thing is, I went and looked. The last time Torrey Hunter had a 5-hit game, which is what he's going for right here, his career high, was 2005, and it was against the Indians.
No kidding.
Yeah. He had a grand slam that day.
Yeah. He's been a good player for a long time. In those days, 4 for 4 days get that average up this time of the year in a hurry. He's up to 280 and likes the number 2 hole.
And now he's sitting 3-0.
He has had some pretty good pitches to hit tonight, too.
Well, he hasn't missed them, put it that way, and he draws a 4-pitch walk. So he's on base safely all 5 times here tonight. This is back in the 3rd inning. Now, second at bat of the game. He doubled his first time up. He just turns, thinks he's going to. Oh, man, he's out by a ton.
Doesn't even slide. He makes Kipnis laugh.
And they were having a laugh, and he went back to the dugout, and his manager looked at him and said, what?
He said something to him, and Hunter started laughing. Then he goes down to the other bench. But when you're doing things like that and you're winning the way Minnesota is winning, they're having fun doing it. And at the time, you mentioned it was 2-0, when he was thrown out.
Yeah, if they're down 2-0 and he does that, probably not laughing about it in the dugout. And you know what? Being a veteran that he is, he's probably not running. He's probably slamming on the brakes.
Right.
Down 2-0. But regardless, here it is, 2 on, nobody out for Minnesota, and they lead at 8-3 in the ninth. And Mauer chops one to second.
That's
Could be
what he
2.
needed.
Kipnis to Ramirez, back to first. The Indians get a pair. Dozier over to third. Let's go back to the corner set. Here's Al Pulaski with another Mazda game break.
Hey, Matt, in Detroit, the Tigers were ahead in this one 4-0. Kansas City's battled back. They lead at 5-4 thanks to this single at the top of the 7th by Alex Gordon to bring in Eric Hosmer. 7th inning, 5-4 KC, Matt.
Wow. Has David Price given up all 13 of those hits? Wow. So he's had a rough night. And we just came from Kansas City. So if you were with us for the series watching on television, Kansas City Ball Club is playing with a ton of confidence right now. So not surprising to see them go up to Detroit and bang out 13 hits. Game's not over yet, though.
Oh, no. But, you know, when you like their chances when they get a lead late. That's what Kansas City did on the 4-game series. They won the first 2 in Kansas City, and Detroit came back and won the last 2.
That goes to the backstop coming home. Here's the flip from Hayes, but Webb wasn't there. Hayes, he threw a bullet to home plate, but Webb was not there to take the feed, and Dozier scores, and it's now 9-3 Minnesota.
Yeah, that ball gets. Looks like it hit in the other batter's box. He tried to get over in front of it, couldn't do it. He slides, and yeah, he comes in, and usually when you're running like this, you're going to beat the pitcher. But by the time he threw that ball, it went back to the infield.
Out of play. So, Rick, you mentioned 4 leadoff doubles for Minnesota tonight.
Yes.
All 4 times they scored.
Yeah.
That alone would be enough to give them the lead tonight. But it was the big 3-run double by Torrey Hunter that really broke the Indians' backs here tonight. And now Plouffe draws a 2-out walk. Indians Live, presented by Conrad's, coming up next here on Sports Time Ohio. Toronto shutting out Boston. They've banged out 12 hits, lead at 7-0. Yankees began the day with a 3-game lead over Tampa in the AL East. Rays lead Texas 5-2 in the 8th down in St. Pete. And the Yankees thus far having an entertaining game with Baltimore. It's been pretty closely contested. Interesting in that New York leads the AL East. Baltimore is bringing up the rear, but only 4.5 games out of the top spot. Orioles trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. Line drive just over the outstretched reach of Ramirez. On his way to third base goes Plouffe, and into second base on the throw goes Suzuki. So that'll be a single for Suzuki. He goes to second base on the throw to third by Bourne. And up comes Kenny Vargas. And by the way, the score in that Yankees Orioles game, 5-4 New York. They're in the 7th inning. So Kenny Vargas with 2 hits on the night, 2 singles, an RBI, and a run scored. Vargas had a key at bat in the 6th inning after the leadoff double by Suzuki. Terry Francona went to the bullpen. He brought in Nick Hagan. He had 2 strikes on Vargas, and Vargas got a breaking ball and just kind of punched it to right field. It dropped in. And then Hagan got a strikeout of Eddie Rosario. Then he had the weird bunt play that resulted in an error on Santana.
Squeeze.
Yeah. And then later in the inning, Torrey Hunter cleaned the bases with a 3-run double to open this baby up. 9-3 Twins as we go to the bottom of the 9th. Furniture keys to the game. Fastball command for Trevor Bauer. He got hit around, 9 hits. 4 of the 9 hits went for doubles tonight. And 5 runs allowed in his 5 innings of work. And offensively, the Indians not able to muster a whole lot tonight. They had 2 runs until Michael Brantley's solo homer in the 8th. J.R. Graham coming on to pitch the 9th now for Minnesota. His 9th appearance of the year. He's walked 5 and struck out 6 in his 9 2/3 innings. Graham was a Rule 5 pick out of the Atlanta Braves organization this past December. He'd only pitched as high as Double-A for the past 2 seasons in the Braves organization, but the Twins,
well, and this
taking
is
a flyer on
you know, when you're a Rule 5 guy, they try and protect you in that bullpen, and these are kind of games that you get to pitch in. You get an opportunity. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he's the guy that earlier in the year that hit Alex Rios in the hand and broke his hand. Obviously, he wasn't trying, but you know, a young guy that may not be ready for the big leagues yet, but if you want to keep him, you're going to have to keep him here all year.
Got to make his major league debut on opening day with 2 scoreless innings.
Yeah, you can see the home plate jumps around on him.
And then he walks Bourne on 4 pitches. Leadoff man aboard here in the 9th. Our Pat O'Brien play of the game, and this was the big hit of the game for Minnesota. A 3-run bases clearing double, part of a 4-run 6th inning outburst. And it came with 2 outs. You know, they get out of that jam, they're still very much in this thing. Instead, they're fighting up a huge hill as David Murphy pinch hits for Brett Hayes here in the 9th.
Well, Suzuki tried to slow him down. He missed with his first 4 fastballs. He tried to get him to throw a breaking ball. He's just going out there. And it's going to be like this all year for him. Just relax, young man. You know, just go ahead, get aggressive, throw strikes, trust your stuff.
You know, I think another reason why Minnesota probably took a flyer on Graham for good reason is that even though he was only at Double-A, he's not a kid. He pitched in college. He's 25 years old.
Right.
Now, he and Michael Tonkin are both the 2 youngest guys in that bullpen at 25, but it's not like he's 21 years old or, you know, just a kid right off the farm. You would think he's ready for this moment, even though he hasn't had a ton of experience in the minor leagues.
They think he is. That's why they took a chance on him. But you just never know. Sometimes it's tough, as we witnessed, for young guys to relax and believe that they belong at the major league level. But it's a great opportunity for him.
Big bouncer right at the second baseman, Dozier. There's one. And no relay back to first. And Santana, it was kind of a slow developing play, and he probably felt like, let's not rush it. And
yeah, he had to go back, I think. Dozier did, and you know, he couldn't get much on the throw.
One away, and Zach Walters will get his first at bat of the year. Walters got the call up today. Indians making a roster move before the ball game. They placed Mike Aviles on the family medical emergency list effective today. And Zach Walters was activated from AAA Columbus. Started the year on the DL with that right oblique strain. And then he went down to Columbus, where he hit .239 with 3 doubles, couple of triples, 1 homer, and 9 RBI in 13 games. He continued in Columbus what he had been doing in spring training. He played 4 games at third base, 2 games at second base, 2 at first base, 2 in left field, 1 at shortstop.
All over the place.
Swung on and missed. And a count 1-2. Again, Indians live tomorrow at 3:30. First pitch a little after 4 as the Indians and Twins continue the series right here on Sports Time Ohio. Low and away. And it's 2-2. Way outside. Strike 3 called. Jim Wolf. Slight delay. It looked like Walters maybe had ball 4. He was getting ready to head to first. Instead, it's the first strikeout of the game for Minnesota pitching, and that did appear to be a little low.
Yeah, it did look low. You're absolutely right. He gets hosed right there.
And with 2 down, Jason Kipnis to the plate, 1 for 3 tonight. Murphy takes off down to second base. Well, we were almost looking at a rare achievement, which is going through an entire game without a strikeout nowadays.
Well, but they should have, because that should have been ball 4.
Yep, I agree. Up high. Graham sets, and the 1-1 to Kipnis. That's at the knees. Murphy, the runner at second base. 2 outs in the ninth. And the 1-2 pitch to Kipnis is fouled back as he stays alive. The attendance tonight just a little over 19,000. And the 1-2 on the way. Kipnis pops one to center, shallow center. SCHAFER is there, makes the catch, and the ball game is over. Twins win it by a final score of 9-3. They have now won 3 out of 4 against the Indians on the year. Tribe against the Central Division goes to 6-15. Overall, the Indians are 10-18 on the season. Minnesota goes to 17-13. Mike Pelfrey gets the win. He's 3-0.